What's up, everybody? Well, let's talk about Lunar Classic and what is going on. Should we be worried about the price, or is this just a slight bump in the road? Well, I'm going to give you my thoughts. Equally, we're going to talk about USTn, USTC, and LUNC. It sounds like a band, but it's going to be pretty exciting. So do me a favor, if you're not already in the Lunar Classic army, be sure to like this video. Just get this information out to as many people that needs it. Also, subscribe to the channel where we talk about Lunar Classic and everything else going on in cryptocurrency every single day. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's start off with the chart. I think it's worthwhile looking at, and you know, we are seeing a slight level of consolidation. Yes, our price is down a little bit. We were hoping to stay around the threes, but in this kind of 2.6 to 7 range. We did see a pretty good pullback from the CPI data that came out, but then we did see a pretty big correction, and we've sort of declined since then. Our volume is, however, down 125 billion, so it is a little bit behind where we would like to be. But again, it is the weekend. Remember, the weekend trade tends to be pretty flat. We are seeing Bitcoin down just 0.2%, 19.1, did run up 19.8, has come back. ETH still under 1300. So it's safe to say right now, well, we're still in a pretty bearish market. I think it's fair to say. USTC again, just over 4 cents. And this for me is why it's important to reference where we are. We are, like I said, still in bear market. We are still awaiting some moves, and I think it's important that right now we are building and we are getting ready. We see RSI trending nicely in the middle, and money flow again is pretty stagnant around that kind of middle range. Now, why is there a couple of reasons why I am still bullish on Terra Lunar Classic, and equally I'm considering increasing some positions. You all know that I bought into USTC not so long ago, and why I'm thinking about moving some positions into Terra Lunar Classic. Well, we have a lot of proposal. This for me is what is the exciting thing with Lunar Classic. Now, I talked about this in a previous video. I will leave that link in the description, but about involvement in cryptocurrency is so important. You think about Lunar Classic and what it did. We know, and it's not worth hiding about, that we had a collapsed project, and ultimately then the community got behind it and we've started to develop, and we've got to remember where we came from. I always talk about this on live spaces or when I'm doing those sort of things, where we came from and ultimately where we want to get to. So right now 1.2% on-chain tax is just not giving us the volume that we require. It might be that we move to 0.2. Now, a lot of people sent me some messages around the 10% for the development team. Now remember, this will still only be used through community governance. It's important to reference this, that anything that operates on the Terra Lunar Classic network has to run through the governance proposals and be voted on by the people that hold it and the validators. And I think that's why it's incredibly important to reference that. A lot of people think it's just the Terra rebels can do what they want, and that is absolutely not the case. And I think that it's very important. And I think ultimately that's why proof of stake and validator nodes are incredibly important when it comes to things like Lunar Classic. We even seen Ethereum move over to give a more decentralized feel to it. So we do obviously have this 0.2% set aside for with a 10% tax for the finance ecosystem, which I think is a very, very interesting concept. It's currently been voted on. It is only got 2 days left. Does feel like we might hit this quorum note. We might get there, so make sure you subscribe because I'll give you all the information as and when it lands. But we still have a number of people to vote on this, so we could actually see those on it. It says do not vote. See, we've got all nodes who have nearly 20% of the voting power: Orion Money, Interstellar Lounge, LUNC DAO. So an incredible amount still to vote on this. So this is still up in the air. This could go through. I think people are working through what is the best tactic for this. How do we get more volume put through, and how do we then increase the amount of Lunar Classic we can burn? Now, on top of that, we do obviously have some of these proposals. So we have the USTn final version summary, and I'm just going to walk you through a couple of important parts on this. So we know this one is from Alex and was initially proposed, and then we've had a counter proposal from Zaradar, Tobias Anderson, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But it says that final proposal, after a couple of rounds of major changes from its original white paper, is outlined below. We've got 150 billion Lunac burned immediately, 50 billion Lunac reminted to restock Oracle rewards, and that's the bit that people are nervous about. We've got 35 billion Lunac can be split between additional burning, additional BTC for a reserve. Oracle rewards pool decreased from 295 billion to 50, and the Oracle rewards pool replenish begins draining to 0 with no replenishment because the swap mechanism is broken. And 135 million USTn enters circulation backed by the US dollar, 83 million of BTC and new capital controls. Now, it does go into a lot more detail around that, but they are the fundamental points of what this proposal is all about. Ultimately, bringing in new stablecoin in, minting Luna Classic, and I know everybody is nervous about that, but again, if it's worked through with the right intentions, this might be the right thing to do. I think we have to be very conscious of it, and ultimately, this will have to go to a community vote to make sure it's the right thing to do. Again, we can talk about the enabling the USTn Luna two-way swap, very tight initial capital controls. What we don't want is this to completely dump and wreck everything. And you can see there's a couple of things around airdropping the USTn out to everybody as all those people have it. And a few other things around staking rewards and staking validators and how you kind of have to do it. And if you're a UST holder, you basically don't need to do anything. So it's definitely going to be an interesting proposal put through. And equally, this last bit from Edward Kin says, I've been working with both Alex and Zaradar on their proposals. I have some of the logistics worked out on Rebel 2 testnet, very early stages, but it's technically feasible and both can coexist and can be implemented parallel for the time being. So again, this could be an opportunity to test this. And for me, this is why it's exciting with Luna Classic. And forget the price right now. Let's just forget the price. This is about development and long term. I've always talked about this as long term. People that are selling out, people that don't want to be in this, are being sold out by whales and by people that know exactly what's coming, because the minute the price goes, people are nervous with Terra Luna Classic. We talk about it. It's incredibly volatile right now in the crypto market, and more importantly, it's incredibly volatile with Terra Luna Classic. But here's the thing, we have a ton of proposals coming out, some very well thought through proposals that ultimately support everything we're trying to do. So for me, it's an exciting time to be in Terra Luna Classic. But let me know down below, what do you think? Which proposal are you sitting on, USTC or USTn? Are they the ones for you? And guys, thank you for all the support. We'll catch you in the next video.